The first step that you want to do, students, you want to open up the article and the evidence log that we are going to be working on. So do that right now if you haven't already. Now that you have both of the documents open, I recommend putting the documents side by side on your screen. Now, there are a lot of different ways to do this. The way that I do it, I click on the tab and I just drag it down, and it creates another window. Then I resize the window so that I can see both of my documents at the same time. So pause this video right now and do that on your side. Great, thank you for doing that. Now what we're going to do, students, is we are going to start our evidence log. So click on your evidence log and we're going to take a look at our quick write. So we want to respond to this question using two complete sentences, please. And the question is, do electronic devices and online access really improve our lives? What I'd like you to do right now is pause this video and respond to this prompt. Good job. Thank you for doing that. I'd like to share with you my quick write. So this is what I wrote. I think that electronic devices and online access improve people's lives because with them, we can learn more. We can also communicate with our friends and family on the internet. So that's just what I wrote. Now what we're going to do, students, now that we've completed our quick write, now we're going to focus our attention on these middle two charts. And you'll notice, students, that these charts are really similar to one another. So let's take a moment and review what is in these charts. Notice that the first column here gives us the title of our blog post, Teens and Technology Share a Future. The next column says genre. Say that word after me, genre. Awesome, this word actually comes from the French language, and it means the type of writing that we're reading. So we're reading a blog post. Other genres are novels, short stories, poems, and even news articles. Lastly, notice the author column. The author of this blog post is someone named Stéphane Etienne. Practice saying his name after me, Stéphane Etienne. Good job. Thank you for doing that. Now we're going to look at the guiding question and the evidence. I notice that the evidence box is the same. The evidence box for both of these says, find a quote to support your response. Identify the paragraph the quote came from like this. Great. I'm just going to move this. Sorry about that. Now, I want to take a look at our guiding questions. Our guiding questions, they both look a little different. So this guiding question says, in this selection, how did electronic devices and online access affect people's lives? This one says, explain how this selection addresses the use of technology. Does it present more beneficial or harmful aspects? So students, looking and reading those essential questions can really help us focus while we're reading. What I'd like you to do right now is take a moment to revisit the blog post. If you were with us when we read it in class, I want you to take a moment just to reread it to remind yourself what we read. And if you weren't able to read it in our class, please take a moment right now to read this blog post aloud to yourself. Great. Now that you've done that, we are all familiar with this blog post. We know what it says. Now what we need to do is go back through and we need to highlight some details. So notice right here that my first checkbox says highlight details about the positive parts of technology in green. The second one says highlight details about the negative parts of technology in pink. What I'd like you to do right now, students, is go through this article, and I want you to please highlight the different information that I just went over. Pause the video and do that now. Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Now, students, I wanted to give you the opportunity to compare what you were able to highlight with what I highlighted, with what Miss Skype highlighted. So take a look at what I highlighted and compare it to what you got. Pause the video now. Great. Now take a look at the last part that I was able to highlight, and feel free to add anything that you see I highlighted to what you highlighted on your document. Pause the video and do that now. Awesome. Thank you so much for being such a great student. I really appreciate you. I'm wondering, do you notice, are there more green things highlighted or more purple or pink things highlighted? More green or more pink? Yeah, I see more green too. So that tells me, students, that this blog post talks more about the positives of technology. Great. All right, so now we're going to work on answering and filling out our evidence log. So let's take a look at this box right here, the first green box, the first blue box, the guiding question. It says, in this selection, how did electronic devices and online access affect people's lives? Notice that in parentheses it says beneficial or harmful. Well, we just figured out that this blog post discusses more about the positive parts of technology, the more beneficial parts of technology. So what we're going to do, students, we're going to answer the question right away because we know the answer. And we're going to write, this blog post describes the beneficial aspects of electronic devices and online access. So take a moment right now, students, pause this video to add what I have onto yours. Awesome, great. So now, students, let's look for some evidence or a quote. Let's look for evidence. Let's look for a green part that's highlighted that talks about electronic devices and online access affecting people's lives. Now, I see a lot of different things to choose from, and you can pick anything that's highlighted in green. Here's what I'm going to choose, students. I notice in paragraph 8, the second sentence says, technology connects us in ways no one has ever been connected before. So I really like that. I'm going to hold down on my keyboard, CTRL and the key C to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it with that same button, CTRL and V, as in very good. Now, when it comes over, students, you're going to notice that it's highlighted in green, and that is totally fine. I'm making mine a little bigger so that you can see it on the video. The last thing that we have to do, we have to put in the citation. And I noticed that Miss Skype, that's me, wrote how to do it for us. So we are going to click after the word before, after that last word in our sentence. We're going to press the space bar, and then we're going to write paragraph 8. And then we're going to put another parentheses because that's where we found this quote. So pause the video and do that now. Awesome. Now, the last thing we need to do is put in quotation marks. So we're going to put quotation marks at the beginning and the end of the sentence. And the quotation mark, I think on your keyboard, you hold down Shift and then it's the button. I think it's right next to Enter on yours. It's got two little lines like this. So pause the video and do that now. Awesome. Now what we're going to do, students, let's go back to this guiding question. And I want to add something to it. Because now that I have this evidence, it's actually making a little bit more sense to me. And I'm thinking that technology really does benefit people's lives. Because exactly what this evidence says, what this quote says, we can be connected through technology. So what I'm going to do, students, I'm going to add that idea into this box. And here's how I'm going to do this. Technology connects more people to one another from different cities, states, and even countries. So pause this video right now and copy over my response. Remember that if you want to say it a different way, you're totally allowed to do that. Great work. Let's keep going. We're almost done with this. Well, we're almost halfway, I guess. Let's look at our next guiding question. Our next guiding question says, explain how this selection addresses the use of technology. Does it present more beneficial or harmful aspects? Well, I remember, students, that we already said that it talks more about the beneficial aspects. So what we want to do, students, we want to explain how it addresses that. What does it say? Well, I noticed that it said this blog post, let me make that a little darker, addresses the many different benefits of technology. For example, it describes how everyone can connect better. Awesome. Pause this video right now and add that to your evidence log. Great job. Now what we're going to do is find another piece of evidence to put into our chart. So we want to look for a piece of evidence that's highlighted in green and that talks about how technology can help people. So let's take a moment, pause the video, and I want you to look back through to find a good quote, one that you really like. Way to go. Now, you might choose one that's different than mine, and that's totally fine. I'm going to choose this first sentence in paragraph 9. So I'm going to select it and hold down Control C to copy. And then I'm going to hold Control V as in very to paste. Now I'm going to make mine just a little darker and a little bigger so that you can see it a little bit more easily in this video. You don't need to do that though. All right, there's only a couple more things that we need to do for this. Let's go ahead and put in the citation or the place that we found this quote. So we're going to write paragraph 9. Now, if you found a different quote, that's great. Put that quote in and make sure that you put the paragraph that you found it in. We're going to make sure that we put the period at the end of the sentence as well. And then there's only one more part that we need to do. That's right. It's the quotation marks. So let's put in the quotation marks at the beginning of the sentence and at the end of the sentence. So pause this video right now so that you can put in the quotation marks if you haven't already. Good job. Now what I want to do, students, I want to go back to our guiding question and I want to add a little bit. I want to add something related to this evidence that we just wrote down. And what I'm thinking we can add is that young people have the opportunity to change the future through technology. And students, I'm getting that idea just from thinking about that quote or thinking about that evidence that I just wrote down. Why don't you pause the video right now and copy down what I wrote? Wonderful work. All right, we're on to our last section. So the last part that we need to do is the elaborate box. So this box has two questions that we need to answer. The first question says, according to this blog post, how can accessing information through the internet be difficult? So for this, students, we want to look at what we highlighted in pink. Now I see that we have two things highlighted. We have something highlighted in paragraph 3 that says maybe even come across the wrong answer initially. And we also have something highlighted in paragraph 5 that says no excuse to be confused by that math problem or lack a source to cite in an essay. It's all on you now. Those are two really difficult aspects or parts of technology. So here's how we can write that information. Here's one way we can write that information. We can say the blog post discusses that sometimes people can find the wrong answer at first when looking something up on the internet. It also explains that students and all people cannot be lazy anymore because technology makes learning easier. So take a moment, students, pause the video once again, and copy down what you see on my screen. Wonderful. So that idea, students, is coming from what's highlighted in pink. That sometimes when we wonder something, when we ask ourselves, hey, I wonder what that person's name is, or I wonder what the lyric to that song is, or I wonder what this place looks like. Sometimes we can come across the wrong answer at first. So we can't be lazy. We have to make sure that the answer that we are looking at is the correct one. We also have to make sure that we are learning. The internet makes it so much easier to learn things than without the internet. Lastly, we're going to answer, how has the internet made access to information easy? So I'm noticing, students, that I see in paragraph 4, the last sentence says, with every stone turned, our picture of the world becomes clearer. And that is giving me a great idea of how I could answer this. So a way I could answer this is I could say the internet makes learning easier and our understanding of the world clearer. Now, again, if you have a different idea, no worries. Write down that idea. I can't wait to read what your different idea might be. So pause the video now, if you haven't already, to copy down what's in my elaborate box. Way to go! All right. The last part, the part you have to do by yourself, I want you to reflect. All right. So after doing this entire evidence log, after reading the blog post, analyzing the blog post, thinking about the blog post, I want you to reflect on your quick write. the quick write that we did way at the top of this document. So take a moment, pause the video, and reread your quick write. Now that you've reread your quick write, I want you to answer the question one more time. And I'd like you to answer it with 2 sentences. Do electronic devices and online access really improve our lives? What do you think and why? I can't wait to read what you write. Please let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to always include different information than I offered for you on this video. You are always allowed to have different answers than Miss Skype. I can't wait to read your work. Don't forget to turn in your assignment and let me know if you have any questions or need anything. Lastly, feel free to re-watch this video as many times as you need.